Primarily a racer.
And Tommy Kendall in the Chevrolet GTP car. Last year, this car sat on the pole.
And the leader right there in the center of your screen, Tom Kendall.
I'm going to predict that Tom Kendall has this race in hand.
Here goes Tommy Kendall.
Goes around the outside of his teammate John Gooding.
My main career ended 20 years ago. I got started early, had a hell of a run, and kind of punched out early. Transitioned almost accidentally into the TV side of things, commentating, hosted my own show on Speak Channel for about 12 years or so called Test Drive. Hi, I'm Tommy Kendall, and welcome to Test Drive. We got a really lucky break when I was 19. I was going to UCLA. Guy who'd won the championship for Mazda 2 years in a row, Jack Baldwin, signed with Chevy. That seat was open. They needed a little bit of money. Long story short, I got a kind of a couple race tryout, turned into a few more races, and then finally they committed to the whole year, and I was leading the points and won my first IMSA championship. I mean, for me, it's pure love. I mean, pure love. They just never broke. In my 2 years in an RX-7, I only DNF'd one race mechanical in 2 full seasons and one from a crash. Trans Am racing, which is really popular. It's like the perfect mix of speed, grip, power. I have a lot of fond memories, you know, just the battles with Scott Pruitt, Ron Fellows, Boris Said, Dorsey Schrader. It was good times, you know, it's hard to beat. Yeah, no question. It's funny how things work, but that accident, for whatever reason, more people saw that crash. And when I met Christian Fittipaldi years later, he looked at me like he was looking at a ghost, and he didn't say anything. He finally said, "I remember your crash."
And the car just comes around. One of the rear wheel spats comes.
The rear wheel came off.
Rear wheel came right off the car, and this is a hard hit. Oh.
It's probably one of the most impactful things that's happened to me, pardon the pun, but Watkins Glen, I was in this GTP car. The car I was driving was called the Intrepid, and it was the first car that Bob and Bill Riley built it, and it was sort of, they thought you could really make a quantum leap in downforce, and even though it would slow you down on the straightaways. It was one of these things where you had to talk to yourself because your brain says that you can't go through this corner this fast.
Strength, no weakness, power, the muscle. Have to have that mindset.
So they kept adding downforce. The front end kept kind of getting extended, elements on the rear wing, and at some point we basically overloaded the left rear hub in this turn 5 at Watkins Glen. We were almost 20 miles an hour faster through that corner than a 962 on the same weekend. It was a quantum leap. It was awesome. Hub broke, wheel came off, spun around and just pile drove it in, and the whole car crushed up to here.
Kendall is a very tall driver, so his legs stick right out into the front of that car. Tommy is about 6 feet 6 inches tall.
You hear all these guys in accidents say, all I could think about was getting back in the car. For me, that was furthest from my mind. I was like, what is my life gonna be like? As time went, I realized I did still want to do it. I still had to decide if I was okay to accept the risk because that wasn't my mistake. And so I convinced myself if I make good decisions and execute, I can win and haul ass and drive at a really high level and not hurt myself. Anyways, they get me out. Had a bunch, fair amount of surgery, long recovery, wheelchair for 5 months, crutches for 5 months. But I had an owner, Jim Miller, that said, "We're here when you're ready." And then even though that next year, Chevy thought I was damaged goods, but Ford didn't, and I won the first race with Roush and won 4 championships in 5 years with them.
I'm back.
One of my most memorable races was one that actually got taken away. I think I'd spun early on and I came back up to the field and I ended up getting together with Ron Fellows. Back then they didn't really police blocking, so we were coming up the front straightaway and I'd gone this way and he went all the way over, and I came back and I got up next to him. He came over and I said, "I'm gonna keep coming until I get to the grass and then I'm stopping." And I stopped and I shot him left like 170 miles an hour. I didn't care at the time, I was so pissed. I charged up, I ended up winning that race, and they took it away from me for that move. And so that one, record shows no win, but one of my favorite drives. I didn't plan this, but Probably Carrera GT. I remember I read about it, you'd seen it at all the shows, and and I'd never seen one in person, and I was at this coffee shop in Malibu, and I heard this noise, and I'm like, what is that? There's a Carrera GT pulling in, and I stood up, and every guy in the place was like a bunch of prairie dogs. We just all went like this and watched the thing go by.
Alan, hey.
That added an element, the sound, and then when I finally got to drive one. Well, one's really obvious, because Driven, no one will say a good word about Driven. I mean, Stallone, give me a break. V8s, I would probably pick V6 twin turbos, like Nissan GTR. I mean, that power plant I think is dope. Like avocado, it's like, I'm obsessed. It's like avocado toast. Is there anything better?
Get to Del Taco. They got a new thing called free shavacadoo.
I remember when I was racing, I heard the saying, it's about the journey, not the destination. I'm like, that is not only not right, that is 180 degrees wrong.
I'm by winning. I win here and I win there. Now what?
It's weird. I mean, I can see both sides of it, but when you're in the moment, the whole point was just, you want to be tested. And the way to be tested is to go up against someone good.
Always remember, if you ain't first, you're last.
Yes, no question. The reason a Toyota Camry, you can bomb down the freeway 120 miles an hour and have it be rock solid, in theory, I've never done that. They've knocked a lot of the rough edges out, and it's cars, it's the tires, it's everything have just gotten better. Without racing, cars would not be half as good as they are now, I would say. Chocolate chip cookies. Guac. Well, it has to do with having effed up feet. And I remember my brother, who started giving him grief, I said, what's with the Crocs? And he's like, I don't want to hear it. And then one time I tried them on, I'm like, oh, wow, these feel good. I travel with my Crocs. And then when I saw Gurney wearing them, I'm like, yes.
What are those? They are my Crocs.
Ice cream. Ice cream is up to its game lately, I gotta say. The ice cream you can get now is like out of control.
We plate it with 23 karat edible gold, top that with chocolate sauce that we make out of the world's most expensive chocolate and the rarest chocolate.
And the really old school stuff, really old school, get smart sort of thing. You know what, more modern day, I loved Dexter. Dexter was my jam.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Surprise, motherfucker. Hard eyes, motherfucker. Wrong size, motherfucker.
I say Tombstone. Skin That Smoke Wagon. I didn't realize till I watched it later that was Billy Bob Thornton. That was the dealer that he throws out of the one casino.
Skin that smoke wagon and see what happens.
Take some arrows on this one. I'm like, what was that Jessica Alba with the diving movie? Into the Blue? It's like an hour and 40 minutes of Jessica Alba in a bikini. I'm like, this is unbelievable. I'm TK. A little embarrassed I only had 2 beers, but hopefully they can fix that in post.